which Oregon Duck do you think is going to have the better rookie season in the NFL? I'll let you start off, Michael.
Yeah, this is a fun question. I mean, you look at what Ducks were drafted. We had Troy Dye drafted as a linebacker to play for the Minnesota Vikings. We're getting all this Twitter stuff about Justin Herbert, quarterback of the Chargers, and everything,
Yep.
Replacing Phillip Rivers there, and all the enthusiasm about the Chargers, especially with Hard Knocks, getting to see him go through training camp. A lot of excitement about those two guys. To be honest, the most likely answer is one of the offensive linemen, because those offensive
Oh,
linemen
come on! You
are.
took one of my picks. I was
Oh, hey,
I was
okay.
I
Well,
was
I'm not.
baiting you with that
Yeah,
question.
you wanted to talk about. I mean, those guys are just. They are men. I
Yeah.
mean, they are so good that I'm not sure which one, but all of them got drafted and signed, and they're all finding good places. And I feel pretty confident about all of them getting through camp. But I'm going to let you get into that a little bit more. I've got a little secret in my pocket that I'm going to bring out after you.
Okay. It better not be Jawan Johnson, but yeah,
No.
I definitely. I was looking because Herbert, we all know he's on Chargers, top pick, one of the top picks in the draft. But as you mentioned earlier with Jay Butterfield, him not having a lot of experience with his team because of coronavirus, so does Justin Herbert. They weren't able to do OTAs, summer camps up until I think like a week ago, and I don't see it looking good for him to start right away. Maybe at the end of the season, because that's what most NFL teams do. They like to put in a veteran quarterback to help mentor the rookie quarterback, and later on in the season, or if knock on wood, if Tyrod Taylor gets injured, Herbert goes in. But Chargers have said it. Tyrod Taylor's their guy right now, so I'm gonna nip them in the bud right there. And we're talking about Troy Dye too. Troy Dye, I mean, for me, when I saw him play, he doesn't really jump out as me as a linebacker. He doesn't really have the size to be a linebacker, because you think of linebackers, you think about Patrick Willis, Ray Lewis, guys who, when you get hit by them, you're going to be feeling it for the next week. And I'm not saying that you won't feel a hit from Troy Dye. I'm just saying it's not a Ray Lewis hit.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me a lot more.
You're not saying it directly, but he's small. He's
Yeah.
undersized without a doubt as a linebacker,
Mm-hmm.
and that means that the story on him right now is that he was a great college linebacker. That he's not an NFL player because he just doesn't have the body to be an NFL player unless something about his motor and his intelligence really jumps off the page, which we didn't see a lot of at Oregon. He was just kind of a great linebacker for a college team. I'm not too high on him either with his NFL prospects. For me, the question with Dye is whether or not he is even in the NFL 3-4 years from now, whether he's going to kind of hold on as a player. I mean, this happens. This happens to 4th and 5th round, 3rd round picks all over the NFL. They bounce around and they disappear. I mean, you got to look into, like, 4 years ago, for example, how many of the guys drafted 4 years ago are still in the NFL? There's a lot of these guys that are on practice squads and stuff, but they're really not NFL players. And I think Troy Dye could be in that category. He could be a guy that 3 years from now, he's on his 4th team or something. Or he could be a valuable piece on the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, obviously the Minnesota Vikings, they like something about it.
I'm gonna pause you right there real quick.
Yeah.
We have a question from one of our chats. It's from Josh Arod. I'm so sorry if I butchered your last name. His question is, who wins in the Oklahoma drill? Kayvon Thibodeau or Chuba Hubbard? Who do you think, Michael?
Well, for those that don't know, an Oklahoma drill is basically football's version of a one-on-one. It's just like if they're running at each other, who's gonna get by. This is definitely a great matchup. I mean, I don't see if they go against each other 10 times, I see one of them winning it 6 times. I'm gonna go with Kayvon. Actually, I think he's just got that.
Really?
He's got that instinct that gives him an advantage in sort of a one-on-one situation. But I mean, it's Chuba Hubbard we're talking about too. I mean, that's a real man. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got the win too. But if they lined it up 10 times, I don't see either of them winning 7 times. It's definitely going to be back and forth between those two guys. They're both great.
Yeah, definitely. But I just feel like for me, Chuba would give him the business. Like, I've seen Chuba run. He's an amazing running back. He's about to, whatever team gets him in next year's draft, it's about to be like kind of a Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins type of player for them.
Yeah.
he can give anyone the business in not only college, but when he gets to the NFL, that's laying wood right there. He's about to lay some wood on Kayvon. So,
Yep.
and let's get back to what you were saying about Troy Dye. And you mentioned about his size and everything, and that kind of segues into what I was trying to talk about him. For me, why not move him to strong safety? Everyone knows strong safety is basically the linebacker of the DBs. It's an extra tackler, someone who's better at covering, but doesn't have the size of a linebacker.
Yep.
A la Troy Dye, but he's on the Vikings. They have Harrison Smith.
Yep.
So I don't see him getting really any playing time on the Vikings. He needs to get on another team who needs a strong safety.
Yeah, but at the same time, the Vikings drafted him, so they have a plan for him. I mean, they invested a high pick, so they said this is a guy that we think will be a contributor on our team. So they got a plan. They have something that they want him to do. We'll see whether that's safety or whether that's some kind of creative linebacker usage. I'm going to pull out my trap card on you now, Izzy, because there's one player that we haven't talked about that we absolutely should be, and that is undrafted free agent Jacob Breeland. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Jacob Breeland, I forgot already. I should have looked this up. What team he even got signed by? But regardless, whatever team got him, they got a gem in Jacob Breeland. Okay, this guy for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, and granted, this is non-conference; they weren't playing good teams, but he was at the top of the list for the tight end.
He went to the Ravens,
year
by the way.
in college. There you go. Oh my gosh, Baltimore Ravens. It's over. I mean, at this point, I think he might have a better career than Justin Herbert. Okay, I'm so high on
there,
this
buddy.
guy.
Whoa there, buddy. I don't know about all of that. Sure, he's playing with league MVP Lamar Jackson, who they desperately need another tight end. But I don't know about being better than Justin. Come on, man, Justin.
Let's just say I
is the
think
next Phillip Rivers.
Breeland has a higher ceiling to me than Herbert. I think Breeland has a ridiculously high ceiling because what we saw from him in a few weeks was not just great play at the tight end position, but he was the best tight end in the nation. And if you remember, the best tight end award went to someone that wasn't even in the Power 5. It went to a G5 tight end. I can't remember who exactly, but it was like the first time that a G5 player had won that award in a while, I think. But Jacob Breeland was at the top of that list, and that injury was really unfortunate, but it's not like you forget about him because of an injury. I think the Ravens got a fantastic tight end. I mean, a really all-around stud tight end, and they didn't even have to spend a draft pick on him. They just signed him, and I'm really excited to follow him and see if he can make the team and see if he can get on the field for the Ravens because he's a guy that I'm just excited about, and I want to get it out there. It's out there on the internet now. If Jacob Breeland has a good year, if he even catches one touchdown pass, I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to be like, watch it, baby. Jacob Breeland's career is taking off.
You think he's going to start over Mark Andrews, who's
the
start?
You know how the NFL is. I mean,
That's
guys find their way onto the field. If you got talent, it doesn't matter if you're the starter. You'll get onto the field. He'll get into a goal line situation and catch a touchdown pass on a Lamar Jackson RPO, something like that, you know?
Yeah. For me, before we end pretty soon, it's Shane Lemieux. Did I say it right, Michael?
Lemieux. Yep. His last name is the best in French. I love that. He's the best.
He got drafted by the Giants. And we all know who's on the Giants. Saquon Barkley. And what I saw him do for Oregon, opening up all those holes for CJ Verdell, blocking those D ends and D linemen for Justin get enough time in the pocket. Saquon's going to love this dude. I know the Giants drafted, I think, at number 4, Andrew Thomas at the left tackle. Shane is going to be really solid.
Yeah, so Izzy's saying draft Saquon for your fantasy team.
I'm not just saying draft Saquon. Of course, if you have the first pick, obviously go with Christian McCaffrey. Do not go with anyone else. If you go with anyone else, you're crazy. I don't care if it's a quarterback. I don't care if it's Lamar or Patrick who win MVP, which one of them will, or if it's Saquon.